fellow readers. Today I'm going to talk about a book that definitely I loved more than I thought I would. I thought I would enjoy this book, but I think I liked it more than I thought I would. And that is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This book was so good. I just loved this book. I would definitely rate this close to 5 stars. I don't know. There was something really raw and kind of new about it. But it also had a classic familiar feeling. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was fresh, it was new, but it also felt familiar and comforting. If you're kind of used to that world and character-driven book, but it was still essentially new. So yeah, what's it about? I mean, I'm sure you've seen other things on this book because it was a pretty hot topic for a while. The people were very excited for its release. This book tells the story of Yadriel, and Yadriel is a trans boy who really wants to be recognized as a brujo in his community. And what that essentially boils down to is he wants to be seen as the man that he is by his family and community. And it's rough because his family accepts that he is trans and that he identifies as a he, but at the same time they think that because he was officially born a girl, that he won't be recognized in kind of the magic system where the overseer is Lady Death. They don't believe that Lady Death will recognize him as a he. So they kind of feel that he would be magicless. But Yadriel feels inside that he is a boy and he's a brujo, and he should be allowed to kind of go through his ceremony and be able to be recognized as such. And so there's just this whole... That's the setup. He wants to be recognized for who he is. So in his desire to be seen as a brujo, he has his friend whose family crafts their special weapons, equipment. I don't know. They are like blades, so I would say they're a weapon, but they're not fighting. Anyway, but he has her craft his ceremonial knife or blade. He has her craft. He has his best friend craft his ceremonial blade, and on the night he receives it, which I think he was going to try to get into doing a few test runs of magic. On the night he's going to do it, they suddenly feel this loss within their community, and I'm trying to remember if he knew immediately which one it affected, but essentially it was his cousin Miguel, and suddenly they don't feel Miguel's power anymore. So they're sure that Miguel has died somewhere in their cemetery vicinity. The family lives, I can't remember if in or right around the cemetery plot, and they oversee the plot and the dead who live there. And so I think his cousin was on rounds, just supervising the area when they felt that he was gone. Suddenly it just felt like he's gone. And they all meet back up, I think at, if I'm not mistaken, it's at Yadriel's home, where his father is. I'm trying to remember all of the positions in the family. I believe that the father, Yadriel's father, is the head of the group. I could be wrong, so don't count me on it. But they all meet up back there, and they make a plan where they're going to go back out into the cemetery and try to find Miguel's body. But they force Yadriel to stay behind, essentially with the women, which really, really upsets Yadriel because, one, he's not a woman, and two, he knows he has this power in him and nobody will recognize it. So he actually sneaks out with his best friend, and they're going to go and investigate. Upon investigating, they stumble upon this little chapel area in the cemetery, and they go inside it to investigate that area. What I can't remember is if they were using any sort of magic at the time or if they just stumbled upon it. But regardless, they go into the little chapel. And when they go in there, they find an old portrayal of Lady Death as well as this necklace. And it's actually metal. I shouldn't just call it a necklace. It's metal. And of course, his friend is saying, Yadriel, his best friend's name is Maurizia. I'm sorry I have not said her name like this whole time. She has a name. So Maurizia is saying, Yadriel, that's not Miguel's necklace. You know, we should just move on and keep looking. And he's like, no, but it could be. I'm trying to remember the term. But there's like this part that they can leave behind, and it helps them to summon the spirit of their deceased loved one, especially when you're in the Brujo community. So Yadriel is like, no, I'm going to try to summon this spirit and see if it is Miguel. And so he goes through the ceremony, which, by the way, is also a great way to see that Yadriel is actually a Brujo. But he goes through the ceremony, and of course, instead of his cousin Miguel, he actually summons the spirit of a boy that he goes to school with. And this boy is often seen as like a bad boy, a naughty boy. And it is Julian. And yeah. Of course, Yadriel is like, you're Julian, you know, what happened? And Julian is kind of like, what's going on? Like, he doesn't really know either about what happened. He does start to describe a bit of what he remembers about what happened to him. And I think it was the night before, just prior to this incident. He remembers being with his friends, and I think he remembers being approached by somebody, and then he remembers a pain in his chest. Like, he told his friends to run, and then he remembers a pain in his chest, and then it's suddenly where he's being pulled to his metal. And Yadriel is kind of like, yeah, well, okay, you're dead and I don't really need you. You're not who I wanted to call. And he tries to break the connection and send Julian back to the realm of the dead, but he can't sever the connection. And so the two make a deal with each other. Julian wants Yadriel to check on his friends and make sure that they're okay. And when they're done, Yadriel will be able to break the connection and send Julian to the land of the dead. And so that's the plan. They're going to go check on the friends, and then they're going to send him on. Of course, that is not all that happens, and it's not that simple. And the stories connect, and in all that time as well, Yadriel gets to know Julian and enjoys his company, his ghostly company. And there's just a lot of charm and sweetness to that part of the story. It's so good. Seeing their relationship, and then also just the whole kind of magical world building that happens with the Bruja and Brujo or Brujex community in this book. Like, it's fascinating the way that it's built and the way that the magic system works. I loved that. And the interpersonal relationships are great too. And then, of course, the mystery about what happened to Julian, what happened to Miguel, what's going on. I will say I figured it out very quickly. But I'm so used to doing that in stories, and it didn't ruin anything for me. I just knew right away what was going on and had a pretty good idea about what would happen at the end. And I was correct, but I was pleasantly correct. It didn't bother me in any way. It didn't detract from the story in any way. I liked it, and it might remain mysterious for anyone else who reads it. So I'm not going to say that it's like overly out there and easy to guess. I've read a lot and apparently I'm very good about knowing what's going to happen next in a story. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just me. But I think even if you can guess what's going to happen in this book, it's not going to ruin anything for you, because the biggest part of the enjoyment of this book is the interpersonal relationships. It's getting to the heart of the story. It's getting to see Yadriel as Yadriel and not forcing any preconceived notions onto Yadriel's character, and really the same with Julian. And there's a bunch of other characters too that are great within here, and yeah, it's a diverse, wonderful little book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was so great. I thought the characters were so great, and yeah, I have no regrets about reading this book. I would definitely recommend it to other readers. I think it's a great own voices tale, so I feel like if you don't have personal experience with what it's like for people in the trans community or even people in the queer community, it's great to see these own voices books and really be able to form empathy and being able to see people as people, which is my biggest thing. Like, I get so frustrated when people make preconceived notions about people, and people are individuals, and people are people. And if you want people to love and accept you, you should probably learn to love and accept other people. And I think this is a great book for that. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. And I think it's great. I think it's great getting to read these types of books. I don't know. I feel like if I only read books about characters that are exactly like me, which would essentially be like Fangirl and all other books like Fangirl, then I would lose a lot of understanding about other people. And I really like other people. I like to know other people's stories and where they come from, and yeah, so I love having books like this. I thought it was great. I think other people would enjoy it too. I hope you do. It's great. So again, Cemetery Boys. This is, yeah, very good book. I would probably just go ahead and give it 5 stars. If it's not exactly 5, it's very near 5 stars. Very sweet, very good. It is great if you can read this closer to the fall, but I think it can be enjoyed any time of the year. I did get to read it right around Halloween and All Saints and All Souls Day, which really is when this takes place. So for me, it was like really great. It was taking place like right when I was reading it, and that was enjoyable. But if the book in any way sounds good to you, don't wait till next Halloween. Like, go ahead and read it now. You'll enjoy it anyway. And that's about all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.